Hi everyone, welcome back to Tiny Things. Today we are diving into one of the most incredible survival stories in history, the Shackleton Miracle. Can you imagine being stuck on the icy edge of the world in one of the most hostile environments on Earth, where the winds howl without mercy, temperatures plunge below minus 40 degrees Celsius, and there's no chance of your rescue? Most people would panic, succumbing to fear and hopelessness. But in 1914, one man, Ernest Shackleton, defied the odds. He managed to keep every single member of his crew alive under conditions that would crush even the strongest of wills. This is the story of the Shackleton Miracle, a tale of leadership, resilience, and extraordinary courage. Ernest Shackleton was born in Ireland in 1874 and grew to become one of the most celebrated Antarctic explorers of his time. Known for his courage, determination, and ability to inspire men, Shackleton had already attempted several polar expeditions. In 1914, he launched the Imperial Trans-Antarctic Expedition aboard the ship Endurance, with the daring goal of crossing Antarctica from the Weddell Sea to the Ross Sea, a journey never ever completed before. The expedition was meticulously planned with careful attention to supplies, equipment, and crew selection. Yet, the Antarctic is an unpredictable and deadly frontier, and even the best laid plans can fall apart over there. This expedition was about to test Shackleton and his men in unimaginable ways. In January 1915, just weeks after setting sail into the Weddell Sea, the Endurance became trapped in the relentless pack ice. At first, the ice merely slowed their progress, but gradually, the ship was locked in a frozen prison. For months, the men drifted helplessly as the ice shifted, pressing against the hull with tremendous force. And finally, in November 1915, the ice crushed the ship entirely, and it sank beneath the icy waters. Suddenly, the crew was left stranded on floating ice in one of the most isolated places on Earth, with dwindling supplies and the ever-present threat of starvation or exposure. Survival seemed almost impossible. Shackleton knew that survival required more than food and shelter. It demanded order, discipline, and hope. And he organized the crew into a strict daily routine. Meals, exercise, and work tasks were scheduled strictly. Shackleton also focused on a psychological well-being. He encouraged storytelling, shared jokes, and maintained a calm, confident presence to prevent panic from spreading. The men carved out an appearance of normal life in the frozen wilderness, maintaining morale through team spirit, creativity, and determination. Every man had a role, and every day had a purpose. Shackleton's leadership was not about authority. It was about compassion and ensuring that every life was valued equally. After the Endurance sank, the men first camped for months on drifting ice floes, hoping they would reach land. In April 1916, they finally made it to a solid ground on Elephant Island, a lonely, frozen place with no plants and strong winds. Shackleton and his men turned their lifeboats into rough shelters. Food was hard to find, so they lived on seals, penguins, and melted ice. The island was far from any sailing route, so no ship would ever find them by accident. Some crew members suffered badly, like Blackborough's legs stopped working, and Rickinson suffered a heart attack, but somehow he survived. Days passed, but the problem to find a way back was still there. They figured out three escape routes: Cape Horn, about 800 kilometers away, the Falklands, around 880 kilometers, or South Georgia, 1300 kilometers distant. Cape Horn was closer but unreachable due to brutal seas and headwinds. South Georgia was farther, but the winds and currents gave them a real chance of survival. So Shackleton chose South Georgia. They set out in a lifeboat James Caird and sailed 800 miles across one of the roughest oceans in the world, battling freezing temperatures, towering waves, and constant storms. Shackleton and his men navigated by stars and sheer determination. After 17 days of unimaginable struggle, they reached South Georgia Island. But the journey was not over yet. When they arrived, they landed on the wrong side of the South Georgia, opposite the whaling station. Shackleton, Worsley, and Crean chose to cross the mountains and glaciers of South Georgia on foot to reach the station because the seas were too dangerous to sail around. They set out on the morning of May 19, 1916, from King Haakon Bay on the south side of South Georgia. They crossed about 32 miles of uncharted, mountainous, glacier-covered terrain. After 36 continuous hours of climbing, sliding, and marching without sleep, they finally reached the whaling station on the north side of the island on May 20, 1916. They immediately started arranging for the rescue of the men left on the ice floes. On the other side, on Elephant Island, Frank Wild, left in charge, told the men each morning, "Pack up, the boss may come today." But as weeks passed, many lost hope of rescue. After 120 days since Shackleton had sailed away in the James Caird, he finally returned on August 30th, 1916, with the Chilean ship Yelcho, overcoming harsh weather and dangerous ice conditions. The men were eating seal soup when they spotted it offshore. In an incredible feat of leadership and determination, all 27 men were brought home safely. No lives were lost. It was a miracle not of luck, but of human courage, planning, and the power of unwavering morale. Shackleton's name became legendary, not because of the expedition's goal, but because he achieved the far greater task of preserving every human life under impossible circumstances. And later, Falklands Maritime Heritage Trust organized the expedition to search the Endurance. The wreck was found after more than 100 years in 2022, lying at the bottom of the Weddell Sea. The Shackleton Miracle is more than a story of survival. It is a lesson in leadership, teamwork, and hope. It shows that even in the most extreme and unforgiving environments, the human spirit can triumph. Shackleton's legacy endures as a reminder that courage, empathy, and determination can overcome the impossible. Remember, extraordinary circumstances reveal extraordinary character. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing tales. See you in the next one.